Welcome to lesson two of Immanuel called The Price. And so, first, we're going to read some like surrounding context to where he gets into this teaching of discipleship. So, we're going to start at Matthew 16, verse 13. So, it says, "Now, when Jesus came into the district of Caesarea Philippi, he was asking his disciples, 'Who do people say the Son of Man is?' And they said, 'Some say John the Baptist, and others Elijah, but still others Jeremiah or one of the prophets.' He said to them, 'But who do you say that I am?' Simon Peter answered, 'You are the Christ, the Son of the living God.' And Jesus said to him, 'Blessed are you, Simon Barjona, because flesh and blood did not reveal this to you, but my Father who is in heaven. And I also say to you that you are Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of Hades will not overpower it. I will give you the keys of the kingdom of heaven, and whatever you bind on earth shall have been bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth shall have been loosed in heaven.' Then he warned the disciples that they should tell no one that he was the Christ." Okay, I'm not gonna say too much about this, but just make sure we understand what's going on. And so we have Peter's confession of Christ that he's saying the Son of Man, that he is the Christ, the Son of the living God. He's called him the Son of God. So he's identified him as the Son of God. Okay. Now, after he identifies him as the Son of God, Jesus foretells his death. So from that time, once Peter has identified him as a Son of God, they all know it. They all see it now. He says, "From that time, Jesus began to show his disciples that he must go to Jerusalem and suffer many things from the elders and the chief priests and the scribes, and be killed, and be raised up on the third day." Peter took him aside and began to rebuke him, saying, "God forbid it, Lord. This shall never happen to you." But he turned and said to Peter, "Get behind me, Satan. You are a stumbling block to me, for you are not setting your mind on God's interest, but man's." As tempting as it is to want to get into, I want to teach about it. I'm not going to teach about it because that's not what we're here for. But I needs to understand the surrounding context. Peter has identified him as the Christ, the Son of the living God. After he identifies him in this way, he's, well, listen, this is what the experience of the Christ and the Son of the living God and the Son of the living God is. I'm going to be treated harshly by these religious leaders, and I'm going to be killed, but I'm also going to resurrect on the third day. Peter rebukes him, and it's also why, I mean, we've had many lessons in the past. I'm sure I've talked about before. Every rebuke is not true rebuke. You have to be able to have discernment on, is this actually a truthful rebuke or a not truthful rebuke of God? Jesus identifies his rebuke as from Satan and says, "Satan, get behind me," and said he's setting his mind on the interest of man, but not God's interest. Now, why does he talk about this interest of man versus God's interest? He's saying the interest of man is to preserve physical life, but the interest of God is that he lose his life, and for him to be resurrected on the third day, and then that he finds his life, which he gets into the teaching. Here we go. Matthew 16, 24-26. Then Jesus said to his disciples, "If anyone wish to come after me, he must deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. For whoever wishes to save his life will lose it. But whoever loses his life for my sake will find it. For what will it profit a man if he gains the whole world and forfeits his soul? Or what will a man give in exchange for his soul?" So, once again, the context of why did he start teaching his disciples about what it actually means to follow after him? Because he reveals to them his experience. Peter's like, "No, this should never be your experience." And he's like, "Oh, well, I got something in for you. This is also your experience. If you wish to come after me, you must deny yourself, take up your cross, and follow him. For whoever wishes to save his life." So Peter was saying, "No, your life's gonna be preserved. Your life is saved. You'll be all right." But he says, "No, that's not the desire of God. In fact, you should wish to lose your life for his sake." And I think that his sake is important. We'll get into this in a second, just as we know as we're breaking this down. And today we'll not only talk about some vocabulary words, but also some grammar that helps us understand how this was originally written and give us more emphasis on the teaching. Okay. But he says for his sake, which is important, because not just lose your life for anything, not lose your life to go steal some drugs or whatever you think you're losing your life for. And it's not always about physical death, but whatever people lose their lives over. Want to be, I guess I'll stay in the drug realm. Want to be drug dealers, drug takers, anything else that's a thief, murderers. They can lose their family, lose their lives, all those different things. Go to prison, you lose your whole life, right? But he's not saying, listen, you're not going to find it for that. You'll find it if you lose it for his sake. And if you lose for his sake, you'll find it. For what will it And then he says, but whoever loses his life for my sake will find it. For what will it profit a man if he gains the whole world and forfeits his soul? Or what will a man give in exchange for his soul? So he's trying to let them know that, listen, to profit in the world means nothing. It means nothing if you lose your soul, if you lose your life, your eternal life, the glorified life that God has for you. So if he did not accept that destiny of being tortured, being killed, being abused in the way he was abused, he says, listen, I would never receive the resurrection and the glorified body and the eternal experience and rewards that God will have for me. Is it really worth preserving my fleshy life to miss that? Reminds me of what Paul was saying when he says that the glory to be revealed is nothing in comparison to the trials and tribulations and suffering that we're going to experience in this life. But Peter couldn't see that. All he could see was that no, that death is this ultimate terrible thing. Although he just told you he's going to resurrect, he says no, death is this ultimate terrible thing, and no, it's never going to happen to you. You're too great. You're too awesome. But in that way, he was representing the devil and not God. Now, a couple vocab words and some grammar we'll talk about. So we have the word for deny. And I'm not going to butcher these Greek words. I'm not going to do that to you guys, okay? Like I told you, I am not a professional Greek speaker. I am very good at studying languages to get a better understanding of what I'm reading. I'm not going to speak Greek with anybody. And although I've been doing Hebrew for a while, I'm also probably not going to go speak Hebrew with anyone. But the word that was used for deny says the form is it's an aorist middle imperative. The middle voice suggests reflexive action, not just refusing something external, but disowning oneself. The aorist, sorry, emphasize a decisive, complete action. It was translated as deny himself, captures the idea but loses the finality and self-directed nature of the middle voice. So what I love the most about this information is that it says that the aorist emphasizes a decisive, complete action. So this is not just I'm just denying or disowning one part of myself, one part of my life, this bad part. It's a complete action. Either you cut the cord or the cord still lives. It's like having an umbilical cord to your mom. Either you cut the whole cord, but if you partially tear the cord, it still exists. It's a complete action. Next one. The phrase for take up his cross. So the form is aorist, active, imperative. And then it says significant. This is not a continuous action, but a decisive moment. Take up differs from keep carrying. It's the initial act of commitment. And so And then it was translated as take up his cross, which is good, though the once for all nature of the aorist isn't obvious. So it's important to understand that this is a once for all decision. When it says take up my cross, this is not this is a moment's decision. This is not a lifetime decision. This is not, oh, I'm continuing to build the strength to take it up. This is not, I'm working on taking it up. It is a decision that I am taking up my cross. And what does it mean to take up your cross? It means to take up all the weight of not only the good but the bad. What we perceive as bad. I don't want to call it bad because it's really not bad. It just is. The persecution, the division, the strife, the hatred, the person, like these are the things what it means to take up your cross. I am bearing this weight that, you know what? I don't, and that's it's important. It says take up your cross because it's not something you necessarily have to do. It is voluntary. I am voluntarily taking up this weight in my life. No one's making me do it. I'm taking it up myself. I decided to take up this cross. So it's not a weight that I have to bear. I choose to bear this weight for the sake of following Christ. I choose to bear the persecution. I choose to bear the hatred. I choose to bear the divisiveness. I choose to bear the strife. I choose to bear the lost relationships. I choose to bear all these things. I chose it. In a moment's time, I chose it. Important to understand this is not a continuous choice, it's a once for all choice. Once I choose it, there is no other choice. Anyone that goes back on the choice never actually chose it as they as they should. Next one, the word that was used for follow. So form present active imperative. The significance, unlike the aorist above, is a continuous action. So this one is a continuous action. This following is continuous. I made in a moment's notice, I made a decision to take up my cross, but it's a continuous action, a continuous verb in my life that I follow Jesus. I follow Christ. The discipleship journey is ongoing after the decisive commitment. So I made my commitment 7 years ago, but every day I'm following. Continuous. It's not a following for a year. It's not a following for a day. And then, no, I took up my cross. I made a decision to take up that cross in one day, in 1 minute, in one moment, but I follow over a lifetime. Conditional protasis, okay? If anyone wishes, structure first class condition assumes truth for argument's sake, okay? Significance, if anyone wishes, and some do. This is a real invitation with real conditions. If anyone wishes, the assumptive nature isn't explicit. So when he says if anyone wishes, it is implying that some do. He's not. This is not something that he's just saying, and this is a. Sometimes people read things that Jesus says, "Oh, this is impossible." No one ever. No, he's saying, "I'm saying this because some wish and some will wish," which also gives us understand that we can live a life when we are thinking to invite people into discipleship, that people this is a desire that he's saying people will have. They will have the desire to come after me. Next one, psyche, which is used for life or soul. Okay, significance. This word means life, soul, self, person, the whole essential being. The wordplay is crucial. Losing, saving, forfeiting your psyche. Life, accurate but lose the fuller semantic range that includes soul and self. Okay. And so what's important about this is that he says, if anyone wishes to lose their life, right? He's also saying that if anyone loses their self, because sometimes when you think of life, you just think of everything outside of yourself. So you just think of everything that you experience that you think is my life, right? But he's saying no, the actually what's also being lost that I want you to lose for my sake is yourself. I want you to lose yourself. In this way, when one loses their self or loses their life, they are no longer recognizable to who they were before they lost that life. And this is important. You cannot d- go into discipleship, but you hang on for dear life to the image of who you used to be, the personality of who you used to be, the things you used to like, the things you used to do, the people you used to hang around. It's time to accept to be a new being. Next one. So we have save versus lose. Okay, structured divine reversal in chiastic pattern. So A, whoever wishes to save his life. B, will lose it. B, whoever loses his life for my sake, A, will find it. Significance, the future tense verbs point to I struggle with this word, eschatological judgment, not just temporal consequences. So what does that mean? What is he saying? He's saying that when he says that if anyone wishes to come after me, they must lose their life for his sake to find it, right? Well, he's saying to find it because it's in the future tense is that this is pointing to a eternal finding, a judgment day, a post judgment day. This is about life after the end of an old heaven and old earth. This is not just about in this life, it's about in the life to come. In the same way, the opposite side, if you wish to save your life, you'll lose it. The losing of life is not just pointing to what's going to happen in this life, it's actually pointing to in a future tense what is to come in a post judgment day reality. That those who lost their life for his sake will find it at the judgment of God in their own after, and those who wish to save their life. And I think this is important too because this saving of life, I want to go into the saving of life. Because why would someone think they need to save their life? Because what's going to happen is this: when you follow Christ, you become to be in danger of losing your life. You become to be in danger of losing yourself, your personality, the way you think, the way you work, your friends, your family, your job, your history, your image. You begin to lose it, and people make you have two decisions you can make. I'm either going to work hard to save all those things, or I'm going to accept losing those things for the sake of Christ. And like I've said before, I've been on it very seriously. These words in discipleship have been the core of my heart. I've encouraged many people to take it on, and I've seen it. There's a point in time when I'm trying to tell you when people will wake up and realize what's happening to them is they are being employed to lose everything that they've ever been. No longer follow along the traditions that they once followed along with their family. No longer indulge the conversations they used to indulge in with friends. No longer dress the way they dressed. No longer behave on social media the way they behave. No longer all these different things. And at one point in time, I'm trying to tell you this: either the fear of man will strike and they will start trying to save their life. No, I'm still the same person. Please see me the same person. I'm not going anywhere. Yes, this is evil. I'm not doing that. Or They don't try to save it. They say, you know what? I'm gonna lose it because the fear of God struck and say, no, 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 I need to lose it. So in the same way, and then as it says that how the NSB translates it with lose and save, it does it captures the paradox of losing and saving, right? But it doesn't really reveal the eschatological force isn't emphasized that this is really about the losing and gaining in our eternal lives. Next one, purpose clause. So we have for my sake. Significance, the preposition emphasized on account of or for the sake of. Discipleship isn't just about following rules, but relationship with Christ. Okay. Now I think this is important because this actually will be something we'll get into in two lessons from now when we talk about the giving of possessions. Because when he has this conversation with the young man, he tells him to follow commandments. He says, "Yes, I've done that." He feels a love for him, and he says, "Okay, well, give up all your possessions and sell them to the poor and follow me." And so we understand that there's a difference between following the rules, which are still applicable, and people want to demonize rules, but there's a difference between following the rules and the commandments, which there's not one writer in this Bible that did not um, implore us to be people who abide by the commandments and laws of God. From I don't care who it is, Paul, Peter, James, and all the Old Testament writers, Jesus himself. There's no one. Okay, but this lets us know that these decisions we're making, they're bigger than just following the rules. It's for the sake of the one. Like, how do I say this? It's for the sake of the one of God. It's for the sake of the relationship that I have with him. It's because of my love for it's my love for him. And he does say, if you love me, you keep my commandments. But once again, it's just a greater, it's greater. The losing of life. You can keep the commandments of God and not lose your life. That's possible. Now, I'm not saying that you're not. People do experience persecution and things of this nature for following commandments of God. That is truth. But you can keep your life and do the commands of God. Honestly, the commands of God are usually to straighten out your life in the flesh, where this losing of life for His sake is the abandonment of the life. Let's keep going. Okay, next we have gain and forfeit. Okay, form aorist, passive, subjunctives, significance. These are commercial slash legal terms. Profit and suffer loss or penalty. The passive voice may suggest divine agency in the judgment. So there's a passive voice when they're talking about gain and forfeit. Okay, and so we're talking about the gaining and forfeiting of life. Or actually it's not the gains for life. The gain and forfeit of the soul. What does it mean to gain the world and forfeit the soul? The passive voice suggests that the forfeiting of the soul is by divine agency, which once again kind of points to the eschatological matter of this being about post judgment day reception or loss at that day. And like Paul says, some people will suffer loss, and some will gain reward. But once again, it is transactional, and that's the truth. It is transactional. And like it says that Jesus will come and he will judge in the body whether you've done good or bad. People will receive good. If you've done good, will receive reward. If you've done bad, you'll suffer loss and receive punishment. It's transactional. And I love how this legal terms. Once again, we're entering a judgment. I mean, it's a courtroom. This is legal. This is a legal matter. In exchange, so significance, a rare word only here in Mark 8:37 in the New Testament, meaning that which is given in exchange, a ransom price or equivalent value. Okay. So it says, what will someone give in exchange for the soul? It's talking about like what is the ransom price for someone's soul? Like what's the price? Keep it going. Okay, last section here. It says Matthew 16:27-28 says, for the Son of Man is going to come in the glory of his Father with his angels and will then repay every man according to his deeds. So this is, I kind of jumped ahead of us because this is what was coming. Truly I say to you, there are some of those who are standing here who will not taste death until they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom. Now, about this, once again, the forfeiting of life or the losing of life for the gain of life, like we talked about, this is eschatological. Okay, so that means we're talking about things that are after judgment. The whole last class was eschatological in the kingdom. Now he's talking about this once again. He lets us know even more. This is eschatological. Is listen, because he talks about those things, and he says, "For the Son of Man is going to come in the glory of his Father with his angels, and will then repay every man according to his deeds." So if you lost your life for my sake, at this time I will repay you. I will get. You'll gain the life. If you saved your life, you'll lose your life at that point. Now, the next part is even more interesting because it seems random, but it's not. Truly, I say to you, there are some of those who are standing here who will not taste death until they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom. Now, this seems like a physical thing. He's talking about this physical will of God experience, but it's not. And it's obvious why, because these people, obviously, they died before Jesus has physically come back. Now, what we do know about the kingdom of God, though, is that it can say, like it says, I can't remember the exact numbering of the passage, but I believe it's in Luke, where it says, don't look here, don't look there. The kingdom of God is in your midst." So he says the kingdom of God is inside of yourself. So he's trying to tell them that some of them will have this experience while they live in this life, they will have this experience spiritually. They will see him coming in the heart with their spiritual eyes in the heart. They will have a spiritual experience to where they will see him coming and they will receive reward. They will be repaid according to their deeds. In this way, he's encouraging them that although everything I speak it sounds eschatological and things after judgment day, this is something you can experience inside of yourself. And like we talked about, is the internal will of God, external will of God. We can experience things that are to come within the body today. And he's telling them, some of you will experience this. He's encouraging them that this is not something that's that far off. There's something you're gonna wait thousands of years for. This is something that you can experience. And I'm telling you this with certainty. With certainty, some of you are going to experience before you die. So don't fall asleep. Don't think that what I'm saying is just so far off it doesn't matter. That all your investments are in this future eternal life to the point that you don't understand that some of you guys are gonna gain and lose in this life because you're gonna see me coming. You're gonna see this coming and for me to judge in this life, right? So then it says. Um, The infinitive construction structure is about to come. Significance expresses imminent futurity. The Son of Man's coming in his kingdom is portrayed as impending, not distant. This is what I just said. So it says going to come slightly weakens the imminence. So he's trying to tell them, no, this is not distant. I'm letting you know this is something that's very close and personal and something that before you die, you're going to experience. In the same way, there are many that are listening to this lesson that before you taste death, you will see him coming on the clouds in all his glory, and he will repay every deed done in the body, whether good or bad. So don't fall asleep. Next one, so the structure is future active, dative of indirect object plus prepositional phrase, significance, real were paid to each according to his deed. Singular deed, emphasizing the totality of one's life practice, not isolated acts. Okay, so this single deed that he speaks of is like it says, is that God is not going to pick apart every little thing happening in your life. It's a sum, just like the sum of his word is truth. What is the sum of your deed of your life? Like it says, the one who practices righteousness is righteous, right? But like I'm talking about before, to practice doesn't mean you're never going to miss. But because you practice, you are righteous. When someone practice something, that means that listen, this is what I do. I engage in it. I work at it. When you practice makes perfect, so you get better at it. Doesn't mean that I made every shot my whole life. It does not mean that. Does a righteous man fall 7 times? So I'm not saying to you that oh, because there's one, and this is where some people are going to defer in these things. I made one stumble here. Now the whole sum of my deed of life is overtaken by this one thing I did wrong. It's not true. But what is the sum of your practice? The sum of your life practice. And so when this was translated and says will repay according to his deeds, they put it as plural. It wasn't written as plural. It's written as singular. Next one, double negative. Okay, so in verse 28, we have structure, emphatic negative plus aorist, subjunctive. Significance, the strongest form of negation in Greek. They shall by no means taste death, absolute certainty. Will not taste death, lose the emphatic force. So when he's literally saying like this is an absolute certainty, it wasn't just a guess. He's not saying that something like it's just maybe this is going to happen with certainty. That I'm telling you that some of you will not die before you see me coming, and I will repay in your lifetime. Last one, it says, until they see, verse 28, structure the temporal clause of and plus aorist subjunctive. Significance indicates indefinite future time with certainty of occurrence. Some staying there will see this before death. So, once again, it's just a certainty that this is going to happen, that this was written with the certainty. It was written with a definitive promise. It was not written with a maybe or some parable type talk or some mysticism. Is a certainty that you will see this before you die. And so this was the price. Lesson 2 of Immanuel. We'll be back soon in lesson 3. Be blessed.